Greetings and salutations, viewers, and welcome back to another edition of the DVD Shelf Foreign Flix, the show that would rather high-five a good movie than snap the neck of a bad one. Now, every movie I feature is one that I enjoy. However, not all films are created equal, which is why at the end I'll be using this scale to rate them. Remember back to my first episode when I said I might slip in an English language foreign film? Well, I have my very first one for you today, and it might be a bit of a stretch to call it a foreign film, but I really don't care. I'm doing it anyway. Today's episode is all about 2011's Hanna. Even though this might not really seem like a foreign film, it is considered a British-German film, so that puts it in my domain.
Will you hunt with me?
If you want.
Now, this movie seemed very unique to me. The basic premise isn't too original. It's very Jason Bourne-esque, as it follows a person with what amounts to spy training, evading some shady government agent, and the person being chased doesn't really know why they're being chased, and tries to piece it together as she goes. I basically just described the Bourne identity. However, it is the execution of this premise that makes Hanna stand out. First off, the person we mainly focus on with spy training is Hanna, a young girl raised and trained by her father and former government agent Eric in seclusion from the rest of the world.
Use your hands.
Hanna may look young, innocent, and unsuspecting, but underneath that exterior is an inner badass that could go toe-to-toe with Bourne himself, if this were a Bourne movie. Now, the spy thriller action is just one part of the movie. The other part is Hanna's adapting to the real world. After being holed up in a snowy cabin for her whole life, her social skills are a little rusty, and she ends up traveling part of her journey with a British family, which results in Hanna displaying her social awkwardness in near sitcom fashion. This focus on Hanna and her exploration of the real world makes this a much more character-driven story as opposed to action-driven. Additionally, the story is chock full of unique characters that Hanna meets along the way, some good and some bad. This is certainly not your typical spy, action-y type movie, and I think that is not only thanks to the writing, but the directing as well. British director Joe Wright, who directed this film, is primarily known for dramas, with his three prior films being The Soloist, Atonement, and Pride and Prejudice. I'm glad to see him branch out a little, and I think it really paid off, giving us a very unique feeling and looking film with a plot in the vein of Bourne Identity.
I'll do better next time.
German.
Nächstes Mal mache ich es besser.
Italian.
La prossima volta farò meglio.
If you haven't already noticed, the cast features quite a few familiar faces from American cinema. Saoirse Ronan plays Hanna, Eric Bana is her father, Eric, Cate Blanchett plays the agent hunting down Hanna and Eric, Tom Hollander is Isaacs, a man used to track down Hanna, and Jason Fleming and Olivia Williams play the married couple of the family Hanna travels with for part of the film. All of them have at least one, if not multiple, big American movies under their belt. Too many to even begin listing them all. The entire cast does wonderfully, which should be no surprise for those of you familiar with their work. And combined with the director and writers, they give us a wonderful little gem of a movie. Now, one thing I love about this film is how it tackles the action. There are a handful of action scenes, but they never feel overbearing. Movies such as The Raid, which I obviously love based on my review in my very first episode, focus so much on the action that nothing else is really taken away from the film. And there is certainly nothing wrong with that. However, here, even though the action sequences are pretty darn solid, the action is not what we really take away from this. This is a story of survival and self-discovery. It just happens to have some fight scenes in it, including one impressively filmed, single long take that culminates in a fight sequence that is also still just one take. And let me tell you, getting a take like that to work is no easy feat, and in my opinion, it's only rivaled by the single take fight scene in the Thai film The Protector. So now, the question you all want answered. How good is it? Well, it's not my favorite movie out there, but it is very enjoyable and unique in its execution of a premise that has become all too familiar thanks to the Bourne franchise. So, I give it a 4. When you get a chance, you should give it a try. And, if you haven't already guessed, it does have an American release, and it's pretty easy to find if you should choose to. Well, that's it for this episode. For the DVD Shelf Foreign Flix, this is Zap Roustauer, reminding you to watch out for arrows.